To call the Crystal Council meeting to order. Let's start with roll call, please.
Councilmember Kamish. Here. Councilmember Kaiser is absent. Councilmember Onessa Rosen.
Here.
Mayor Adams.
Here.
Councilmember Budziszewski.
Here.
Councilmember Cummings is absent. Councilmember Ibo.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening, Council. We have an agenda before us. Looking for a motion on that agenda. John?
So moved.
All right, looking for a second.
I'll second that.
Raji, thanks. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Consent agenda, we have a few items on that. I'll read that into the record at this time. Approval of the minutes from the following meetings, the work session from October 3rd, 2023, and the City Council meeting from that same date. Approval of the list of license applications submitted by the City Clerk to the City Council that is on file in her office. Adoption of a resolution accepting Towards Zero Death grant funding. Adoption of a resolution authorizing the grant application for the Hennepin County Youth Activities Grant Program, and then adoption of the 2024 fee schedule. So looking for a motion on that. Go ahead, John.
Make a motion to adopt the consent agenda as read.
All right. Therese? Oh my gosh. Tracy?
I second.
Thank you. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Sorry about that. Open forum, we do have some people who are wishing to speak for open forum. Let's start with Rachel Bratton. She has what?
She has somewhere to go.
Yeah, we can accommodate that. Jan?
My name is Jan Jorgens, and I live at 4400 Louisiana Avenue North, and I've lived in Crystal for decades. And I recently heard that at an official meeting of the EQC, there was a hint that someone might be interested in sunsetting the EQC at the end of this year. And when I lived across the street from Bassett Creek Park in the late 80s and 90s, I went for walks, and I heard orioles, and I loved walking there. And one day I went out to go for the walk, and the trees on the east side were gone. Highway 100 was there. You could hear it, you could see it, you could smell it. And I called my city council person. I said, I'm calling because of what's going on at Bassett Creek Park. She says, what's going on? And so when she found out my concern, she said, there's a group called the Environmental Commission. I think you should consider joining it. And that gave me hope that a person like me might be able to get involved and do a little something so that something doesn't happen. I mean, you know, once I made my voice heard, I don't know if it was me or if it was the residents there, but they put up a berm so that Highway 100 was blocked a little bit, but there still are not as many trees on the east side of Bassett Creek Park that used to be there. So being involved with the Environmental Commission is a helpful thing. I understand that right now the membership is down, and that's one of the reasons why. And so I have a quote here from Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And when I was on the commission, I never felt that the city manager was, Ann Norris, I never felt she thought it was a waste of her time to be there. She came and participated. And we had 3 people on there that were professional people in their jobs that related to the environment. One person was involved with waste management, and there's lots of things that need to happen right now with recycling and that kind of thing. And so to have this group exist so that people can come in and get a voice, and hopefully it can, resonate and make a difference. I really hope that you continue to have the Environmental Commission, even if it's a small group. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you.
All right. Open forum, I didn't cover the rules, but I'm going to at this point. We hold 3 minutes for each speaker, 10 minutes on one topic, and we'll be adhering to that tonight. Rachel, do you want to go ahead?
Mayor, City Council members, I am attending this meeting tonight out of concern that staff is recommending sunsetting the Environmental Quality Commission, the EQC, at the end of this year. I know that your agenda is very busy tonight, so I wanted to at least come to impress upon you to not make the decision to sunset the EQC before November 7th meeting, when there will be adequate time to discuss this matter. Keep an open mind. I have a presentation and evidence to present to the council that will shed light on things that have been going on in the EQC that is pertinent to this discussion. I want to inform the council tonight that staff have preempted the council's decision on this matter and have already begun rejecting new members and re-applicants, namely myself, going as far as handing an application back to a first-time attendee at our last meeting. The EQC has provided Crystal with valuable resources. Of the city's past 25 YouTube videos, the EQC has contributed 6 of them. I argue that in this day and age, shutting down the one commission that has the greatest opportunity to help lead the city to curb its climate footprint and bring the city more in line with other environmentally progressive movements is short-sighted and folly. If the concern about the EQC is lack of membership, then give us time to use some direct democracy strategies to achieve higher membership. And in the November 7th meeting, I will also be recommending a different city staff liaison be appointed to the EQC. If the argument is that the EQC needs to be sunsetted because of budgetary concerns, I'm sure there are plenty of other creative ways to achieve this. For instance, all city roads are scheduled to be resurfaced on a regular basis, no matter if this work is needed. If instead, when a road is scheduled for work, an assessment is conducted first to determine if the work is actually needed, perhaps that work could be postponed until the next year. This could potentially both save the city money in construction costs and also have the added benefit of lowering the city's greenhouse gas footprint. Again, I am asking that you hold off on making this decision until you're able to hear more voices than just staff recommendations. Surely they aren't always right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, is there anyone else wishing to speak during open forum? Were those the only 2? All right, we will close open forum. And next we will be receiving,
Wait,
hold on, we're backing up into open forum?
if you wouldn't mind,
Yeah, go ahead.
it'll be just brief. Mayor, Council, Burton Ord, 6700 60th Avenue North. I just want to mention that I know it may seem surprising, but in many ways, I'm also a committee of one. in the watershed, even though I have the good fortune of having a mentor and an advisor in the form of Mark Ray. Essentially, I am the only person that represents Crystal for that commission. In addition, I also help maintain the Mac Park all throughout the seasons. I am the only person that does that I know. I try to encourage others to come, but essentially, I'm it. So I'm also a committee of one. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Bert.
I'll fill it out for you.
All right, our city manager, Adam Bell, will address the council relating to the assessment rolls. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Item. So, pardon me. Every year, any delinquent assessments or any delinquent charges, city service charges that are outstanding are assessed and sent to the county to be added to the tax bills. Those charges this year are notices have been sent out of those charges. Notice of the hearing has been sent out to those who are responsible for the charges. The city has not received any written appeals. We have been speaking to a couple of the parties, and so we're working those out. All of the charges that the city has proposed to be assessed as of currently, the city staff believes that they should not be waived, but we are willing to work with people. For the public hearing that's required, staff's recommendation is to have the public comment and then adopt the assessment and direct staff to continue working with various parties if there are legitimate issues, and then the council will go ahead and approve the actual assessments at the next meeting.
All right. Any questions for Adam? Seeing none from the council. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing, welcoming anyone who's interested in an appeal. Is there anybody here wishing to appeal? And we have nothing in writing, and we have nobody approaching. So at this point, nobody approaching, I will close the public hearing. All right. Any questions, comments from the council at this point? Seeing none. All right. So we have a resolution in front of us.
You're asking for a motion?
Sure.
I can do that.
John, go ahead.
I make a motion adopting the assessment roll for the 2023 delinquent accounts.
All right, looking for a second. Go ahead. Tracy.
I second.
All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right. Next is the regular agenda. First item on that agenda is the disbursements of $25,000 or greater. I'll read those into the record at this time. First item is GMH Asphalt Corporation for the Crystal Community Center parking lot, $121,254. Golden Valley Joint Water Commission for August charges, $269,219. Nick's Tree Service for tree removal, stump grinding, and debris hauling, $91,065. Outback Fence and Fabrication for the dog park fencing is $40,127. SEH for 2023 and 24 utility reconstruction project is $38,139. Odessa for Welcome Park concrete play area, sidewalk patio, and the fitness pods, $88,450. IRS electronic payments for federal and FICA withholding for for pay date 9/29/23 is $70,222. MinPair for employee city required contributions, same date, $68,332. disbursements of $25,000 or greater. Total disbursements are $787,511.52. Any questions on any one of these items from the council? Yeah, go ahead, Forrest.
I just have a real quick one for John. On the dog park fencing, I'd seen some comments online recently about some holes or things in the dog park fencing. Had that been addressed?
Yeah,
Okay, it's all good? All right.
Councilman, yeah, so what happens sometimes is when we have a lot of dirt moving and stuff, sometimes you get a little bit of erosion that goes under that, and it creates some gaps underneath. So I think most of the gaps have been underneath the fence.
And
So-
have those been addressed?
Yeah, they're continually going around and working on it.
Awesome, thank you.
Interesting. We've had erosion problems there on the path before. I wonder, is that the same area? Do you know, John? Do you know what I'm referring
Yeah,
to?
I'm not sure exactly where it is. I've heard the same thing, and I know Brad is working on it, between compaction and
Yeah, it's
just
like-
just settling. And
It's like right, there was one area I saw myself where when you go through the main gate right to the right of the parking lot and you take a left around the path, right kind of along the path of fencing that kind of goes down to that gully in between the parking lot and the dog park, there was a triangular segment about this big
Okay.
there. So I was just, but I saw that it was on Facebook too, and
yeah,
had-
so the ground,
Lynn had-
kind of
yeah.
does this, and the fence is straight.
Okay.
So wherever there's a dip, there's that potential. So
Yeah.
And they've come back and,
yeah,
okay,
things will keep popping up, and we'll
Okay.
keep going out and
All right.
taking care of it.
thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, looking for a motion. Taji,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the list of disbursements over $25,000.
all right, looking for a second. Tracy?
I'll second.
All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next, we have our city planner, Dan Olson, here to address the council on the office building and child care center. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay. Okay, we're just a minute here to get settled.
Sure.
Slideshow?
Yeah, maybe hit
Okay. Good evening. This is, as was said, this is a conditional use permit for a child daycare center at 7057th. I'll just give you some general information to start. New Horizon Academy is proposing to purchase the property at 7057th and convert the existing office building to a child daycare center. Some of the adjacent uses to this center would be on the north. It's the U-Haul self-storage facility, which is zoned commercial. To the east is a building with two buildings. One has vehicle repair. The other has a barber shop, Masonic Lodge, and both buildings are zoned commercial. So this area is really surrounded by commercial properties. To the west is another office building that is also zoned commercial. To the south, there are two banks and an auto parts store, all zoned commercial. So here in blue is the subject property, and the pink is the area where we notified the other adjacent property owners, and we also posted this on signs on the property, on next door, so we got the word out. Here is a recent aerial photo showing the existing office building with the parking lot. There's 78 parking spots there now. Here is, this was probably the best graphic I could show you to show you what they're proposing to do. This is the proposed landscape plan. So the footprint of the building will not be changed. The parking lot itself will be reduced from 78 spaces to 43, and I'll get into that a little bit in a minute here. But the parking will be replaced with three areas for the children to play yards. Two on the north end of the property and then one on the south end, south of the building. These are the building elevations. They're going to spruce up this building. It was built in '76, and it's a little bit tired. If you've been to the property is in need of some TLC. So they're going to dress it up with this stone facade. This is the top here is the west elevation. The bottom is the north elevation facing the U-Haul. The description of this child care use itself is that, as I said, they're not proposing to increase the footprint of the building. They'll just be renovating the interior to accommodate the new use. And of course, they'll be reducing the number of parking spaces. The daycare will have a maximum of 189 children with an average attendance of 143 children. They've also indicated that they're going to have 29 employees, but that number will not be on site all the time. So they'll have their hours of operation will be from 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. And the children will be picked up and dropped off in the parking lot, and the caregivers are required to go into the center itself to drop off their children. So parking was probably the most notable thing about the use, the one that was the most of interest to staff, especially just noting that there was going to be a reduction in the number of spaces. So the applicant has provided a very detailed parking analysis showing the number of parking spaces for their other Twin Cities location. They have quite a few locations in the Twin Cities, and I looked through that, and I chose 5, and this is in the staff report. I chose 5 cities where I contacted their staff. I tried to select locations where the building size and the number of spaces were very similar to what would be done here. And they all 5 cities said that this was not going, they had no problems at all with, they said it very confidently, they had no problems at all with the number of spaces for the size building that they had. One of the main things that came up at the Planning Commission was just a discussion of that, and the applicant really talked about how the drop-off and pickup of the children happens very quickly. So that's kind of the main user of the spaces, and that happens. There's a high turnover with that, so that's one of the reasons that they don't need as many spaces as they have now. So based on the applicant's parking study and the feedback from other cities, staff determined that the 43 parking spaces are sufficient for this use, and the Planning Commission did agree with that determination. Some of the other notable site elements, stormwater management and erosion control. They will be adding some additional stormwater features in the rest of the parking lot that's remaining, because they'll be redoing that. And these stormwater features will be improving the infiltration and also in order to reduce the stormwater runoff rates. They're also going to be removing a portion of the parking lot, and that will reduce the impervious surface from 82% that's there now to 73% of the property. That's a definite plus as well. And then just typically they always install erosion control measures according to our city ordinances. The landscaping, the property currently has 16 trees. There's some that are very prominently dying. They're all ash trees, I believe. And so those are going to be taken out. And they're going to be, it's another way to really spruce up the site. They're going to add a lot of shrubs and 26 new trees. So I think it's going to be a real improvement to the property. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing here recently, and they determined that the CUP met the requirements of city code, and they unanimously recommended approval of the CUP. No one provided comments on the CUP. So tonight you're being asked to adopt the resolution to approve the CUP as recommended by the Planning Commission. One note is that the applicant has indicated that their child care center will be open by the fall of '24. So that's my presentation. If you have any questions, I see that the applicants, there's somebody from the daycare and also their architect are both online. So if you have any questions for them.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Go ahead, John.
My question is about, fire suppression. Is the building sprinkled now?
It's not currently sprinkled now, but it will be
It will be,
as,
okay,
as part of the renovation.
okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead, Forrest.
Just a comment that I'm really happy to see the addition of a play yard and kind of that more natural play and the efforts around stormwater kind of benefits. I'm really happy to see that.
All right. No other questions? Yeah, I think I like that too. I mean, that's going to be a huge improvement. Huge. All right, looking for a motion on this one. Go ahead, Tracy.
I will make a motion to approve a conditional use permit for New Horizon Academy.
All right, John?
I second that motion.
Thank you. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
We're looking forward to having you.
All right.
Be a huge improvement to that area.
Yeah, I would say also that it's really nice to have those types of services in our community. It makes our community stronger. It's kind of like some of the other clinics that have come to town. This is really focused on who we are as a city, and we are primarily residential community. So that means we're going to have kids.
And I think it'll be a real boon to the commercial area there too, dropping off, getting groceries. I think it really works well with the site.
So we're happy to have you, and thank you.
Right, thank you.
Did you want to make any comments?
No, just that we are happy to be here we feel this was a real find for us. The building adapts very well. As a matter of fact, it's a little larger than our normal center. We're going to have some new features inside the building that we, don't really incorporate into some of our other facilities. So we're kind of excited about that.
All right. So
looking good.
That'll be the flagship, right?
Yeah.
Well, I try not to design it as a ship.
Okay. Well, we got to plan something, don't we?
Right.
All right. Well, thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. All right. Dan is here still to talk about the UDC.
Right. We have a
All
lot
right.
of cooks here trying to get this PowerPoint up.
Good.
Okay, so this is a first reading of amendments to the Unified Development Code. The purpose of these amendments is fourfold. First, it's just to clarify existing provisions or practices. Second is to correct some typographical errors. Third, it's to make some adjustments to development standards to address things we've learned during the administration of the ordinance. And fourthly, it's to rezone the property at 3601 Douglas Drive. As you can see on the screen here, this is the timeline we've been going through. We are now on October 17th for the first reading. We have two more meetings for this, or one more meeting, I should say. You may remember that about a month ago, the City Council looked at this at a work session. The Planning Commission looked at this in August for a work session. So those two work sessions comments were incorporated into the ordinance that you see before you. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on October 9th. They heard from two residents, and they made recommendations on 3 issues. So I'll address those here in the next couple slides. The first is the definition of gross density. The Planning Commission recommended that this definition be removed from the amendment so that further discussion can occur. The staff response to this is that we concur with that recommendation. So we have removed it from the amendments. And the plan here is to have a more detailed discussion with the Planning Commission so we can all get on this. They can understand where we're coming from, and they can make a recommendation that's based on more knowledge. So. Let's see, is it go down?
Next slide, please.
It's not going down. Okay, there we go. Okay, the second issue that they discussed was the rezoning of 3443 Douglas, which is This is, if you remember, this is the EDA lot that's just south of Sweet Living. So the recommendation from the Planning Commission was that to remove this from the ordinance to determine how, so that there can be a determination of how the property will be developed. And staff response is, again, we concur with this recommendation, so we have removed this rezoning from the ordinance. Staff's feeling is that this is not an urgent matter. This property has been in the city's possession for, I think, since 2009, so it's not something that's really urgent. The staff's feeling is that we would like to have a discussion with the EDA to determine the future of the property, and then the rezoning could happen after that, once that's been determined. Let's see here. So the third issue that they discussed was this motor vehicle RV licensing. Again, just to remind you, the goal of this requirement is to prevent unlicensed vehicles from being stored on private property. So the commission recommendation was, this was a question that we asked them, is that should single and two-family dwellings be exempt from the licensing requirements? That was something that the council discussed when they had their work session. And the commission recommended that be an exemption. Staff response, as we have added that language to the ordinance. And just a couple of notes is that because this will be in the UDC, community development staff will enforce that provision using a 10-day notice, as we do with other zoning violations. And just a reminder as well that it is currently unlawful and will continue to be to store inoperable vehicles outside. But this new provision only applies to vehicles that are unlicensed. So those are the three issues that the commission made recommendations on. So since you have seen this before, I didn't want to bore you with a really long presentation, but I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about any other provisions, amendments besides the ones I talked about, or the ones I talked about.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Any questions for Dan? Go ahead, Taji.
Yeah, can you go back one slide? I just want to make sure I'm understanding this change. So if a single-family dwelling has an RV with expired tabs, what are the implications?
That means we would not do anything to enforce it. It's on private property. We would not do anything to enforce that particular sort of violation, I guess I would call it.
Because they are exempt from that?
Yes.
If I'm reading this correctly. Okay.
Yep.
And that is a change?
Well, this is kind of a new ordinance, but it's being fleshed out. It was fleshed out at the council work session, and so this is a new provision. We did have something similar in Chapter 13 of the city code, but that was determined to be not enforceable because it referenced state law, and there's no requirement in state law for vehicles to be licensed on private property.
Got it.
So just to clarify, essentially what's happening here is you're adding to this ordinance saying that on non-single family and two-family zoned properties, you cannot have unlicensed. Okay, and then just kind of to go back to the enforcement element there. So essentially, let's say there's an issue where there's some cars or vehicles or whatever at a commercial property, and so is it the community development staff that goes out and actually does the enforcement action? It wouldn't be the police that do it?
We might, my understanding is that we would do that.
Okay.
We might confer with them if there's an unusual situation, I think, but we would enforce it, yes.
Okay.
And we really tried to focus this provision on non-1 and 2 family because that's where most of the issues are happening. Like, say, for example, a car has been sitting, an inoperable vehicle, unlicensed, has been sitting in an apartment building parking lot for months. Mm-hmm. And it's really obviously not going to move. So that's a situation where we would get involved. We could use this tool to go after that.
And it would be a 10-day notice. So it'd say you're in violation, you're not getting, fine right now, but in 10 days, if it's not remedied, you
Right.
will. Okay.
Right, it's a typical code enforcement procedure. If they're cooperative and they need a little more time, we would certainly give that to them. But we start off by just giving a 10-day notice, and it is to the property owner.
Right.
So,
Thank you.
Interesting. I was thinking more commercial property. I wasn't thinking like apartment buildings. Is that kind of the problem you're trying to solve?
well, it could be either one. I don't know the history of whether we've had more in apartment buildings or more in commercial areas. But it's both, I think, apartment buildings. It's not, as I said, we're not trying to go after the 1 and 2 family dwellings, but from what I've been told is that the problems are more happening with these more multifamily or commercial uses.
So it doesn't matter whose vehicle it is, it's going to be applied to the commercial property owner or the owner of the apartment building.
The vehicle, right? It would be the vehicle.
No, it wouldn't. They would have to tow, the property owner would have to tow it or find the owner.
So you would contact the property owner, and they would have to deal with the problem.
Correct. Yes, they might have it towed.
You might not even know it's there.
If they don't know who owns it, they may have it towed. It's probably, I would imagine apartment building would know whose car it is, but maybe a commercial use like a shopping center, they may not know whose car that is there, and it's been sitting there for, say, a month or more, 2 months.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just with that point, we have to be notified of this. So it's gonna have to be an evident issue. This isn't something we're gonna be driving around.
Right.
Looking for
Yes.
something that might be unlicensed. I mean, we're gonna be notified of a complaint that there's this vehicle that's been sitting there for an extensive period of time. The recent RV issue we had, that sticks out a lot more. I mean, this does cover unlicensed RVs as well, recreational vehicles, but the city's gonna have to receive a complaint about a vehicle before we're gonna be able to go, that we would ever go respond to this to investigate, to issue the notice.
Yes, I concur with that too. I mean, we're not going to be just driving around looking for unlicensed vehicles in commercial parking lots. It'd be a complaint on a complaint basis, I think.
Okay. John?
And so then prior to this, we didn't have the ability to be able to do an action, correct?
We have inoperable, but not just for the unlicensed.
Okay.
We thought we did, and then a few months ago, the police department, a member of the police department said that this was not enforceable. This is the provision in Chapter 13 of the city code. So then we didn't have anything after that. That's why this is being brought as a new amendment, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Go ahead.
So if there's, after the 10-day warning, and if there's still non-compliance of moving the vehicle, where does it go then? Like, what are the next steps?
Well, if they haven't contacted us and kind of explained the situation and asked for an extension, which does happen quite often, if they just completely ignore it and there's nothing done in that 10-day period, then we would issue a citation. And that we notify the property owner of that. Sometimes that will correct the problem because they don't want to get cited again. Or they might contact and say, hey, I just got the citation. Can you give me, they might ask for more time at that point. So we try to work with people if they're cooperative. But there are times where people do not want to cooperate and don't respond to any sort of correspondence that we send them.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, just quickly, and to be clear, these are administrative citations. These aren't criminal citations.
Okay.
Forrest?
I don't want to belabor this and much more, but, one of the things that we had said when this was brought in the work session was at least I said this, and I felt like some other people thought this too, is this solving the problem? And I still feel like, and maybe there is no better solution, that's fine, but, you know, like, let's take the RV example. I think a number of those were licensed currently. So this doesn't solve the problem of unwanted vehicles necessarily. It's just, yeah.
It's one more tool.
Okay.
In that regard.
Yeah, yeah. If it's a real problem, I think maybe, you know, I'm okay with how this is done in terms of the administrative process, and I think that's something, you know, one of the things I was worried about before is it being abused. I think that this kind of seals that off, but I don't know if it really solves the problem entirely. So.
Yeah. All right. So, what are we doing here? We're doing a resolution,
It's an ordinance,
ordinance,
first reading of an ordinance.
first ordinance of the yep, okay. Looking for a motion for that ordinance. John, go ahead.
Make a motion approving an ordinance, making various amendments to Chapter 5 of the Crystal City Code.
All right, looking for a second on that. Taji?
I'll second that.
All right. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Are you Miss Hanson? Okay, welcome. All right. We're on 4. So moving into a different area of the world, or the city, I should say, we have Kim Terrace here to Assistant City Manager to address the council on some wages. Go ahead.
Yep, so our first item tonight was going to deal with our Local 49 union, which is our public works, with the International Union of Operating Engineers. However, at this time, due to some timing issues, we were unable to receive the signed agreements back to us in time for this meeting, so we'd like to ask that you either table or continue this to a future meeting.
All right. Looking for a motion on a continuance on this issue. If there are no questions, go ahead, John.
So moved.
All right, looking for a second. Taji?
I'll second that.
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if I might just ask, so if you continue to the next meeting, is that sufficient likely, or?
And well, it's a question for you. If we continue it to the next meeting and we don't receive, can we continue it further?
You can, Mr. Mayor and Council,
Okay.
the reason I'm asking is technically if you continue something indefinitely without a set date, you're kind of killing it.
Oh.
So it's better to continue it definitely. So either to the next meeting or 2 meetings from now. So that's why I'm asking the question. It just should be specific.
So you want us to say that?
One or
Wait,
the other.
for the next meeting?
Yes,
Continue, make a motion to continue this to the next meeting.
Friendly
I'll
amendment?
second that.
All right.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. All right, you want to continue with the next agenda item?
Yes, we can continue with that one. As you know, last year, the city council approved a labor agreement with our local 44 members who are police officers with LELS, or Law Enforcement Labor Services. That contract was for 3 years, 2023, 2024, and 2025. It also did include a reopener related to employer contributions towards health insurance for the year 2024. We have met with that union and we reached an agreement. The health insurance overall increase was 8.5% for 2024. And as in past practices, the city and the employees will continue to share in the increased cost of the premiums, and the proposed contributions are listed below in your memo. There are sufficient funds in the 2024 proposed budget to cover this settlement, and we recommend approval.
All right. Any questions on this item? Seeing none. Looking for a motion. John?
I make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with the LELS Local 44 for the 2024 insurance contribution.
All right, thank you. Looking for a second?
Second.
Forrest? All right. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. And one more.
One more. This item relates to the wages and insurance benefits for the non-represented employees for 2024. The labor agreements for Local 44 are again our police officers, and Local 56 are police supervisors. Both call for general wage increases, 3.25% for 2024. The labor agreement as for Local 49 is still pending for your approval, but at this time, we are recommending that we follow suit. We have a long practice of following the same general wage adjustments as those with contracts for the non-represented. So we're recommending a 3.25 general wage increase for our non-represented employees. And then similarly, we ask for the same health insurance contributions as those awarded with the other units. And as stated, the city has a long practice of offering the same health insurance benefit package to all of its employees. And again, there are sufficient funds in the 2024 adopted preliminary budget for this, and we recommend approval.
All right. Any questions on this one? Seeing none, looking for a motion. John?
Make a motion to approve the 2024 wage adjustment and insurance contributions for the non-representative employees.
All right, looking for a second. Go ahead, David.
I'll second that.
All right. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for all your work on that. I mean, that's 3 quick motions. I wish it all went that fast, right? So it's a lot of hard work there, so we appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We do have a few announcements. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Crystal Police Building will be displaying purple lighting from October 1st to the 31st to support domestic violence awareness. The City of Crystal strongly encourages everyone to break the silence on domestic violence and view the purple lights in October as an encouraging message of help, hope, and healing. If you or someone you know has been a victim of domestic violence, call 911. Additional resources are available through the Crystal Police Department or through Tubman. We have those, I think we have those on our website, right? Those phone numbers. And then our next council meeting is November 7th at 7 p.m. here at Crystal City Hall, and it's available also through Zoom. Reminder that you can view or listen to historic meetings for work sessions or council meetings on our website at crystalmn.gov. crystalmn.gov. That went pretty fast. I don't think if someone was actually listening would actually hear that. All right. Do we have any other announcements? Seeing none. John?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Thank you. Forrest?
Second.
All right. All members in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries.